What's the date?
What's the date?
What's the date?
What are we celebrating today?
There was a time in our lives when we heard a piece of advice or a quote, and it struck so much power and meaning behind it. But then as you grow up, you start hearing these same quotes, these same advices being said by numerous people, maybe through television, by peers, your parents. And it's come to a point where it's been repeated so many times, it's lost that meaning, it's lost that power, and it's become a cliche.
Exactly, and that is exactly what we are celebrating today on the afternoon, Karak, because it just happens to be Cliché Day. So happy Cliché Day. I feel like regardless of what people say about cliches, do you hear that? That rhyme?
Kinda.
What do you mean kinda?
I wasn't paying attention.
Whatever people say about cliches.
Got it. All right.
Thank you, Mikey. Thank you. Please, give me my recognition. I appreciate that. So back to the cliches. I feel like at the end of the day, end of the day.
She's still at it.
Still at it. It's all natural. So what I'm trying to say is that at the end of it, they are still integral to the way we speak because it has some sort of meaning that would resonate with everybody. Everybody will know exactly what you're trying to convey when you say those cliches. How about that? One more.
Go ahead.
One more.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
They didn't know we're going to be rhyming here today.
I thought it was cliche day, not a rhyming day, but just look at that.
So let's revive our biggest cliches, the ones that you probably said or been told. Text us 4215, Instalator would love to hear from you. There's one cliche, and I'm going to sort of poke on it. Future talk. Hanny would always say, if life gives you lemon, you gotta make lemonade.
I love that very much.
If I could just go back and archive a compilation of how many times he said, I think we'd have like an hour worth of content.
I would actually watch the entire video or audio you're gonna create because it is actually one of my favorite cliches, regardless of what people say again. It just resonates with me, this one in particular. And also because of Lemonade, the album by Beyonce, it was actually named after this cliche.
What a coincidence.
And so is, I believe, Jay-Z's grandmother, if I remember correctly. She used to say it often, and there was actually a clip of her, an audio clip of her saying it during one of her birthdays. I think it was her 90th birthday or something like that. And she said, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And that's how the album got called Lemonade.
So Aisha, what is your favorite cliche advice that even if you hear it to this day, it still resonates with you?
That's very hard. It threw me under the bus right
For
there.
me, it's everything happens for a reason.
Yes, I like that one as well.
And it happened, like I say there's a lot of things that has happened in the course of my life recently that as much as I try to question it, as much as I have doubt behind it, I always go back to everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely right.
Even if it's for the best of it or for the worst of it, honestly. And despite how many times it's been said, there's real power behind that quote itself. And it's words to live by. Everything happens for a reason.
And you just reminded me of one that is sort of a cliche advice, but I realized that I pretty much live on this one. It's better safe than sorry. I mean, if you ever look into my bag, the amount of stuff in my bag in terms of like bandages, you might find like tiny perfumes, sanitizers, all kinds of things. And people always ask me, Aisha, why do you fill your bag with all this junk? And I tell them it's not junk. It's better safe than sorry. And I have saved a lot of situations because I have a lot of random stuff in my bag. So this one is another one that I like very, very much. Besides, if life gives you lemon, turn it into lemonade. And the one you said, which is everything happens for a reason. And finally, we have better safe than sorry.
Guys, text us 4215 Instalator. It's a day to be okay with being cliche. Right?
No, you stole this from me.
Anyway, do share your cliches here. Don't be shy and don't be embarrassed. It's the day to celebrate all sorts of cliches and much more. Guys, we're going to be taking a break, but coming up next, we're going to be talking about the most viewed YouTube video and on the platform.
It's not Despacito anymore.
It's no longer Gangnam Style.
It hasn't been Gangnam Style for a long time.
Since 2012,
But
probably.
Despacito completely overthrew it in 2017, and in 2020, the year of everything crazy, there is one song that has completely dethroned Despacito to become the most watched video on YouTube ever. So stay tuned for that.
Pulse 95.
There are so many horror cult classics. If I ask anybody, they could name me 1 or 2, 3 movies. I'm pretty sure Orphan, there will probably be one of them, or at least will pop into their mind.
I haven't heard that name for so long.
Really?
And honestly,
I get it.
it's just like, you're right about a cult classic. This movie really creeped me out back when I was a teenager.
I mean, Isabel Fuhrman, she really nails that role, the whole creepy child thing. She does it really, really well. Now, Isabel Fuhrman apparently is going to be reprising her role, but my question is, how is she going to reprise her role not in a sequel, but rather in a prequel? Because she has aged. I mean, it's been 11 years.
But she probably already peaked when it comes to her growth sprout, because like she might be a short person, and that's an advantage for her
haven't
character.
You seen her picture? I mean, she is definitely not a kid anymore.
They probably pulled it off.
It's been 11 years. 11 years. Let's say
she'll just have to just sort of stand from her knees and just put synthetic shoes on the kneecaps to look like she's short. I don't know. Or just like smart camera tricks to make her look like she's actually younger than when, makeup and de-aging, all of that. It's possible.
I don't know, really. I'm just trying to think of it. How will it be a kind of prequel? Because we do know that Esther was not really a child. She is actually an adult woman.
Spoiler alert. Oof.
It's been 11 years.
I know.
It's been 11 years. If you didn't,
But that's the beauty of that film,
Honestly, when it comes to movies that are old and you hear a spoiler, you're like, you kind of deserve it. So if I hear a spoiler about the Joker, which I've been saying I'm going to watch for how long now, I deserve it as well. So let's go back to Orphan. So it's actually an adult woman who has some sort of dwarfism per se, and she just masquerades as a 9-year-old. So what is going on with that story? How do you kind of go from, somebody who is, let's say normal height, average height, or average looking into somebody who looks like a 9-year-old? I don't get it.
I think camera tricks. I think some de-aging technology there. And the fact that the movie, the plot of the movie's already been under wraps, and it seems like they're very keen on making this film. It will be interesting as viewers to see how they tackle that challenge. That's, I think, the biggest factor of this film. And also a prequel. This is a story of a character who has an obsession with intruding in people's lives, slowly breaking apart their marriage just for her own personal desires. It's messed up. But
it is quite messed up.
It makes for some good horror, I'll be honest.
It is. I mean, there's a reason why it became a cult classic. Just the whole idea of disturbing little kids kind of genre or subgenre in horror movies got kicked off by The Orphan, and maybe even The Ring. You can say The Ring, even though Samara was, I don't know what age she looked like, but she kind of gave off teenager vibes. Nobody that too old. So it just kicks off the whole subgenre of creepy little disturbing kids, along with, the whole creepy dolls kind of subgenre. So it is for a cult classic for a reason. No, maybe. The whole idea is that maybe she messed around with some magic. She messed around with something that turned her into a childlike looking person. We don't know.
Making it more supernatural than usual,
Yeah.
It's not the first time an horror franchise has ever done.
Exactly.
But a prequel for Orphan, do text us 4215. It's a lot to do. Are you a fan of this cult classic? And would you be excited to see a prequel coming up soon? Definitely, we're going to have to review this when it comes out. I know you're going to be really just eyeing this character. It's like, how did they make her that short, you know?
How did they do that? What are they going to do? I'm just intrigued about what they're going to do with the story. And like with many horror movies, they should go for prequels rather than sequels. So we'll see if it will, have better reviews than the first one.
Or justify its existence.
Justify its existence. Coming up next, we have the sports headlines and a rumor about Doctor Strange 2. So stay tuned for that.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it.
If you have access to your phone or your laptop right now, I want everybody to search up Doctor Strange 2 cast and check out the cast.
I just did this right before the break, and honest to God, I am shocked. There's so many actors that we've been talking in other rumors. Like for example, reports of Doctor Strange 2 being in a Spider-Man 3 movie, and then the potential of having other Spider-Mans from multiverse, like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and the Tobey Maguire. But then if you just search up Doctor Strange 2 cast, all of these actors just suddenly appear in the Doctor Strange 2. And
in addition to 3 more we did not expect, including Ryan Reynolds,
which plays Deadpool,
Tom Hiddleston,
which plays Loki,
and Elizabeth Olsen.
Wanda.
And it's like
Scarlet Witch,
like a big question mark. First of all, this does happen sometimes. It has happened before where you look up a cast and it's somebody that is not part of the cast. I'm not sure how Google picks the cast when you search it up on the search engine. However, it's just like brings up question marks. What is going on? Why are those people listed in the cast? Is somebody messing with us, or is it a mistake?
I think it's a mistake, because usually these big studios like Marvel or whatnot, before a movie comes out, they do register some of the information into, like, let's say IMDb. Yeah, IMDb. And maybe by pure chance, some of these got leaked. There was maybe like a embargo on the data submission.
Maybe.
But now it's out there for public domain and people can see it. And all I can say, it really is a multiverse of madness.
The thing is, I actually went on IMDb and I looked it up as well. And the only person or people who are already, part of it were the ones who are already in Doctor Strange 2, who are Benedict Cumberbatch, Chiwetel, and Benedict Wong, and even Tilda Swinton. The fact that she is reprising her role is also interesting. Maybe she's going to appear in some sort of,
like a ghost mentor.
Maybe. I guess ghost mentor, or maybe a flashback. We don't know. And I looked it up, and the only new person is So Chill that we spoke about a while back, So Chill Gomez, who might be a part of it and hasn't even been 100% confirmed either. So it's like all up in the sky, and I'm super excited for whatever is happening. Like you said, it truly is a multiverse of madness.
Do check it out, Doctor Strange 2 cast. Just type it up on Google, and I swear, your job will drop.
It will drop again, if it's true, if it's not, regardless. We are super excited for whatever Marvel Studios has for us in their magical bag of madness. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about Spotify letting their artists give their songs a boost, but with a price that might be a little bit too much, so stay tuned for that.
This is Pulse 95.
It's no surprise that TikTok plays a huge role now in artists really getting their music viral. I think it started off with Old Town Road, and ever since then, we've been hearing some really popular musics, and they've been hitting radio stations, they've been hitting online viral podcast, YouTube videos and stuff like that. And now Spotify seems to be testing out a tool to sort of add fuel to the viral fire by allowing artists and labels to utilize a promoting algorithm.
Now, here's the thing. There is quite a price that you'll have to pay. And I don't mean monetary price, but rather if you choose to manipulate this algorithm where Spotify gives you a boost to whatever you're trying to promote, you will be paid a lower promotional recording royalty rate whenever songs are played during this autoplay or radio session. Now, the question is it worth it? I already hate algorithms in general. I don't mean like algorithms as a concept, but algorithms on social media are
It's just hard to crack, to be honest.
It's super hard to crack, and they've been created in a way where they hinder a lot of artists. When I'm talking about, musical artists, or even, painters, or all sorts of artists of all kinds. It hinders their reach to all their fans, and it just creates a lot of problem where all these companies, social media platforms, they kind of monopolize over it and create a lot of tension and problems for them. I believe that the only one that has a user-friendly platform somewhat when it comes to the algorithm only. Now here I'm talking about the algorithm only, not other aspects. It is Twitter, because in Twitter you can change your timeline to adjust it to, do you want it to be the hottest tweets, or do you want your tweets to come in chronological order? And that is the basicest of most basic things you can expect out of a social media platform. But I'm gonna say Instagram just kind of ruined everything a lot. It just messed up the entire idea of the algorithm.
Yeah.
And it just makes you wonder, how far are they gonna go? And this Spotify is doing this is, I understand the price of it, but it still feels a little bit predatory, to be honest.
Can I say that I think it's a great idea? And I wouldn't say every artist who do it, be very selective, because basically the tool is that when you give a chunk of your royalty share, your music, whenever it gets released, it's going to be pumped into radio sessions and also autoplays if people ever use that on Spotify.
Thing. Every time it plays on those radio sessions and autoplays, it'll be deducted.
I'll tell you why it's a great thing. Because, and I've heard this several times from artists on TikTok, they talk about how the first week of a song debuting on Spotify is the most important. So I think for short term, maybe it's not great, but some of these artists are considering long term, that return on investment, that as long as they really hit it in that first week when their songs get released, then it'll be worthwhile in the long run.
So they're trying to be more than a one-hit wonder, basically.
Exactly.
I see what you're trying to mean.
It's a great promotional tool. I know you talk about the algorithms and everyone is different from every platform, but I feel this one gives a little bit of control to the creative artists, for just a brief moment, even if it takes a bit of the royalty, because in the long run, their music brings them great return on investment through fame, through clicks, through listenership, and just people, let's say on the next one, they don't have to do the promotional tool because they've become kind of viral, you know? Yeah. And that could be advantageous, and they can survive from that. So yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword.
It is. And my question is, because I've been trying to understand this a little bit, because it said every time it autoplays on radios and whatnot, but if they mean the radios and autoplays on Spotify only? Because like you said, if we think about long term, what about Apple Play and YouTube Music and all these other platforms? Like, for example, locally in the Middle East, we have Anghami. So if your song plays there, you're still getting royalty from that.
Actually, yeah. Wow. I didn't think of it that
so
way.
Maybe, like you said, maybe it is not that bad. Maybe it's not as predatory as it seems to me. Honestly, I'm not an artist, so I don't really understand the whole, behind the scenes of it, what goes on when it comes to paying royalties and whatnot. They would understand better. And of course, like you said, they would know what they want for their career.
Then let's leave it to the artists, any local artists in charge and across the UAE. Text us 4215. It's a lot to do. Would you sacrifice a chunk of your royalty to be viral for whenever you release your songs, especially on Spotify? Do let us know here on the afternoon Karak. We're going to be taking a bit of a break, but coming up next, we got a Not in the News special, and this one is quite special, so be sure to stay tuned.
It's almost 5 p.m.
That was Afternoon Karak. For dessert,
Aisha and Mikhail suggest...
We're nearing the end of our 499th episode. Yay to us.
Wow. It's been quite the journey.
It's been quite a journey, and I believe we've probably had maybe not 499 suggestions, but very close to that. So let's kick it off with another suggestion from Mikhail Atiyah.
So this one comes from the fact that it was about a month ago. I was going to my sister's school, and I do these monthly payment installments for her tuition. Mm-hmm. And, I was at the cashier, and she has the machine. And, the convenience of the cardless transaction, where you don't even have to put it into the machine. You just, do it like that, and I was like, beep, a satisfying beep. It's like, oh, I don't have to do, and the rest of it will be done through the machine.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I was just kind of keeping an eye on her dialing the number, and it was like, okay, 5,500. But then I noticed, and she didn't notice it, but I noticed that she dialed an extra zero.
Uh-oh.
And that
my God.
that 5,500 turned into 55,000, and I was that close to swiping. I'm like, wait, that's incorrect. And she looked at it and she's like, oh, whoops. And I swear
That is not a whoops.
I don't, my
55,000.
eyes were like this wide open because I knew if I did that, it was just a second away from doing it, I would have been in a world of hurt. Honest to God. So my suggestion for you guys, whenever a cashier is dialing up the amount that you need to pay through your card, be sure to just really pay attention to the amount dialed, because sometimes there are going to be some human errors and you have to account for it. Believe me, it's going to save you a lot of trouble and money. And those phone calls to the banks are not going to be good too.
Oh no, they will not be good at all. Thank you for that, because I tend to I don't even sometimes check the amount, because I just I know it's going to be around 200
I trust the cashier. You can't.
Yes, I mean, it's a grocery. It's going to be around 200 dirhams, and I'm just like, okay, beep, goodbye. I don't even take the receipt sometimes because I expect the text message. So you're absolutely right, guys. Check the amount before you tap your card and, end up in a world of pain. And with that, we end a world of fun and joy and entertainment and continue it. Pass it over to Yalla Home, Big House, and Addis Cofield, only here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.